Looks like 2015.
I don't see a clock anywhere, do you? Carla,
Yeah.
is this meeting about recycling? I don't even see that on the agenda.
No, it's not on the agenda for today.
It can be discussed under open forum, I suppose.
Yeah, you can talk about it under open forum if you want to, but
Oh, we thought it was on the agenda.
Yes.
We just got back from the state basketball tournament, and we just here, but Neil has a doctor's appointment. If that isn't on the agenda, we should have wait. Thought it was. We don't know about recycling.
okay.
It's not happening today.
No, but if you have something to say, you can talk about it under open forum.
If you got somewhere to
Number
get,
4.
we can move.
We don't have anything to say. We just wanted to hear the discussion,
Oh, okay.
what the options and what's going on about it.
Okay.
We could discuss those, I guess, if you want,
Where we're at now.
where we're at.
I think we should go and come back and do another meeting.
You're here.
We can, first, I guess it's 9 o'clock, we'll start the meeting. We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Entertain a motion for the minutes of agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve the minutes of agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, well then, can we just move up to open forum and,
It's up to the chair. Start
oh,
addressing.
that's right, I forgot, I'm the king.
Careful with your power.
Yes, we'll go to number 4, open forum. And, I guess where we're at with the recycling is, we're probably gonna, go with just having a single drop site for the recycling in Thompson. And, cause we're having trouble with, waste management picking it up, and they keep telling them they're coming and they don't come and they don't come. And then the other thing is that, recycling may be just really expensive garbage right now, because it sounds like most of it's going to the landfill anyway. So why pay for recycling if it's going to the landfill? It's just,
At least at a higher price.
yeah. I mean, it's, and we're gonna cut the price of, the proposed price from Waste Management for the way it is now is gonna be, what is it, about a fourth or a third?
Over a 4-year period, it would have averaged just over $70,000 a year from
Yeah.
waste management, and we're gonna have it down to probably
Was it 20?
20-some thousand.
24.
24, that's what I wanted to say, so it'll be 20.
Really, the main issue was that it was not being recycled anyway. There's no money in recycling, so nobody wants to do it. And so what was happening, I felt we were being a little bit duped even, that it wasn't being recycled. And if it's not being recycled, everybody can just put it in their trash pickup. Or take it somewhere, if they're very green-minded, they can take it to some other recycling centers, to make sure that it's truly being recycled.
Each county has the responsibility to provide a recycling plan within the code of Iowa. And we felt like this plan was probably more in our,
Could you speak a little louder, please?
oh, okay. Because of the state of Iowa requiring we have a recycling plan, that plan, we decided to go from a curbside to a drop site just for the purpose of keeping it affordable. And until we can get through this period of, we're really not recycling. Some of it, the cardboard and the paper is being recycled, but glass and plastic and some of the tin and that aren't being recycled, and it's out of our hands. So we don't want to pay extra money because of that.
So are they sorting it out and then taking it to the garbage?
It depends. No, not for the most part. Some of it is getting sorted out, like in Buffalo Center, he hauls to two different places, and that's the guy that's gonna pick it up in the single drop site in Thompson too. And the paper he drops off at a place that makes blown insulation out of it, the paper products. But the rest of it, we're not even sure there, whether that's ending up in the landfill or not, but
So it doesn't mean that eventually when there's a market for recycling and people actually choose, or companies recycle again, that we can't go back to that
I
at
mean,
some point.
I understand why they're putting it in the garbage, in the landfill, because there's no market for it. But why should we pay extra if that's where it's going? And I'm all for recycling. I mean, I believe in taking care of where we live and not making a mess, just like you try and do in your own house. And, but if there's no market for it, why pay for it?
So we were paying $70,000 a year.
Actually, we were lower than that, but the next contract would have been much higher.
Oh, okay.
They proposed a 4-year contract with increases each year. So I think it turned into 70,
Average over 70,000.
yeah. And right now though, our last contract, we were paying 55, I believe, right?
I think that's the last.
So it was gonna get raised quite a bit over 4 years too. But truly, the story is, you know,
That we're paying for something that's not
that's not
happening.
happening.
Well, and he told us they were taking it to a facility in Minnesota. And then did you find out that facility in
Yeah.
Minnesota was,
People had found out where they're taking it to is closed.
they're not even open, and that's where they told us they were taking it.
They have this big fancy sorting center, and it's currently closed.
So we're trying to get out of a fraudulent situation where we're paying for something that doesn't exist and isn't happening.
Yeah, well, certainly an unequitable one. I don't know if they're out and out fraud, but it maybe skirts the border there a little bit, but
They went through a time where they were getting really bad at communicating with people and getting the stuff picked up. And they were going through staffing problems. So then they, hired a bunch of people. And then they bought some natural gas powered trucks to go green. And they only have a tank this big on it. So they can only do a half a route. So they would only get a half a route done on one day, and then they wouldn't let you know where they're going to be coming back.
And the
for the
only
rest.
place to fill that natural gas was in
Mason.
Mason City. So when they were out of fuel and only did a half route, they had to go to Mason City to get there
Which is where
to
they
fuel up.
which is where they were dumping it.
why wouldn't they have just gone to propane, then you can fill it onto your own big tank? I mean, I don't know why they would have went with
They're a very
So-
large company.
So to make
a
sure
bad
that
decision
we,
for sure.
we still had a place for people to recycle or take it to, and to fulfill the state's requirement, the plan is now to have it a single spot in Thompson, and you can take your recycling there. And he assures us, the gentleman who is going to be picking it up, that it will be taken to recycling centers. Now,
What they do with it after that, we don't know,
we don't know.
for sure.
So what I'm hearing is that we need we citizens, if we care, have to start a recycling. We have to figure out where they will pay to take the tin and the glass and the,
Yeah, if you can
Plastic.
come up with a source to, utilize it, that would
Yeah.
be great.
We reached out to a number of different, even our local garbage pickup,
okay,
to see if they would be interested in starting their own somehow and making something like that work, but we did not get any takers on that.
I think the labor and trucking costs so much. Can't break even.
Yeah, and we understood why they were raising their prices, but we weren't getting good service and it wasn't being recycled. So the service was poor.
Ted?
Yes, sir. Hey, Ted Gassman, I live up there 4.5 miles west of Scarville. And I just, after listening here for a while, I sure can't complain about the service that I've had. I know they're not always there when they say they're gonna be there, but I guess I've got a little forgiveness because there's some times I probably wouldn't have been around this winter either when I said I was gonna be, because it's been kind of a crappy winter in respect to snow and various other things here. And so when I heard about this, I went around the whole area up there and talked to people, and I think there was 7 altogether that I was able to contact about doing it. What you're saying here, I guess what I've heard is probably accurate anyway, as I sit here and listen to you. And so I think as far as those people were concerned that I did contact, we would like to see it continue the way it is. I'll just tell you the way it come out for me. And there's several reasons why that is. I'm getting up there now in age, and for me to drag that tub from my home west of Scarville all the way to Thompson is not going to be very feasible. And I know there's a lot of other people out there, they're not as old as I am probably, but they don't want to drag their garbage all the way from Vingie area to Thompson. I don't know how I'd get it loaded and get it there. I'd have to go to a smaller container for sure, or containers. It seems like even though we try to control the amount of waste that we have, we always have a bunch of tin cans and water bottles and such as things are going now. And so, like I said, we would like to see it continue as it has been. And I have also, from the people that I talked to, basically I will say that there would be a possibility of us sharing that cost, picking that up. It sure would be simple for us anyway. It's at least a 10-mile drive to Thompson. I suppose people around Lake Mills have got to go to Thompson also.
Yeah.
Would that be true?
Everybody.
As a
Ray is
central
gonna have to go
pickup
to Thompson.
point. And it's so handy to have those guys come around. I've had situations where they didn't come and pick up the recycling as they said they would. Usually it's for a pretty good reason. I call, and usually when you call, you get somebody in Texas. I know they're a long ways away. But they've always responded to me. Even if I left a message, they called me back. So I thought they were doing a pretty good job myself. And, had a reason for why they didn't pick it up. And I like to say most of the time, I think it was a weather problem. It could have been this fuel thing. Bill, on this fuel thing, they've got this synthetic LP now. It isn't real handy to get your hands on, but it's a better deal than regular LP. As I understand it, I don't have any synthetic LP either. And what synthetic LP is, I'm not even sure of. But I guess those people that I contacted would like to have you consider leaving it the way it was, and we will help pay for it. I know cost has got to be a part of this, and so if you get some help, from the people that are picking up the recycling, that would be fine.
The point is, though, is if it's going to the landfill anyway, why pay extra to have it recycled? The recycling truck's picking it up for a higher amount than You have a garbage truck coming to your place, right, I suppose, to pick garbage up?
No.
Well, then
We
whatever you do.
recycle everything.
Then, well, some stuff is garbage, but, I mean, if it's just going to the landfill anyway, why pay extra to have the recycling truck take it to the same place is the point.
Okay, I understand that, but on the other hand, on the other side of it, we have to take it to Thompson.
Yeah,
That's gonna be quite a little.
Thompson will appreciate it.
That'll be quite a
And
little.
for every guy that has your opinion, there's a person out there that has the opposite opinion, and they're so tired of being lied to time and time again, where they drag it out there, drag it back, drag it out there. They tell them they're gonna be there the next day and they're not there, they tell them they're gonna be there the next day and they're not there, and they're so upset that they're just ready to quit recycling altogether because they're tired of, and I've told the guys from Waste Management, why don't you just tell them that you can't be there? Don't tell them you're gonna be there and then not be there again, time and time again. So, so that's where we're at. We've got about, I would say it's about 50-50 that between people who wanna keep it the way it is and people that are just, no, let's get rid of it. And I really don't wanna be in the middle of it, but the decision maker for me is if it's going to the landfill anyway, why pay extra to have the recycling truck take it there?
So where's it gonna go now, after you pick it up in Thompson?
It'll be going to a different location than where the Waste Management takes it, currently, but,
Did he say birds?
Is it gonna be recycled?
Did he say birds?
no, he won't take it to Berg.
So
He'll
we're
take it
not
to
gaining
Mason City.
anything.
So some of it will go to Mason City to the paper recycling, the cardboard and paper recycling. From there, it gets sorted somewhere else, the rest.
But now the paper, as I understand it, is being recycled anyway.
It
So
is.
what I'm hearing, Bill, is that you're not gonna gain a thing because it's not gonna be recycled anyway. And so we're still paying somebody to pick it up and it's not gonna be recycled.
A lot of it is not being recycled,
And
yes,
it will not be recycled if you change and do something different.
but at least it's cheaper. And,
And I have just offered, and all of the people that I talked to, and that's, like I said, there was 7 of us, I think, that ended up talking about this up there in the
well,
Vinci area. And, there wasn't one of them that, said that they thought it was a stinky idea if we had to help pay for it. We used to have a dumpster sitting at Keister, at, Vinci, and, we all paid a certain amount a month. I don't know how that went. We got a key and we had something and we'd take it over there
For
and
recycling.
then it would go,
For recycling
I
or
think it was
trash?
garbage. I think we put everything in there that went to the landfill and over by Lake Mill.
So if you're still wishing to have things picked up at the end of your lane, that a lot of people are, we talked to a lot of people and they were willing to pay extra too. But again, it wasn't being recycled. So you're probably better off to hire a garbage company to come and pick it up at the end of your lane for that extra cost. that
all your
you're
garbage
willing to-
or wherever your overflow garbage goes now, a lot of people have a burn hole. The tonnage is gonna go down, because not everybody's gonna wanna take it to Thompson, so the tonnage will go down. Because it's not as convenient anymore. But I just have a hard time paying extra for something that isn't happening. And I mean.
Now, I don't like paying extra for something that isn't happening either, but it is happening for us up there by Vinci because,
Well, they're picking it up, but where they're taking it,
well, okay, but then the picking it up is a big part of it, instead of us having to drag it to Thompson.
you don't have to
Oh,
drag it to Thompson.
Well, we don't seem to have any other option right now. Maybe we could find somebody to come around and pick it up.
Well, that's what I was wondering, if you could coordinate with Waste Management to use the existing dumpster you have to come and pick it up at your cost.
That'd be all right.
Because we have a lot of rural people who have their garbage picked up by Waste Management.
Different truck.
It's a different truck.
Right.
You know, so that option is still there for people to get rid of garbage, which basically is what the recycling is right now. It's sad. For 40 years, there's a lot of us who have washed out milk jugs, cleaned out tin cans, crush things so it takes less room in the recycling. It's a difficult, and really quite sad, but they say that it's part of the China connection, right, guys? Isn't
Yeah,
that what we,
the cost, there's a tariff on it now, and China made criteria when, like, say, Waste Management was selling to China, you know how you go to the grain elevator, and if you have a certain amount of spoilage, well, that spoilage within the recycling went from 0.5 to like 5% down to 0.5 was the requirement. So it was hard to even get to that level. So it got really expensive sorting it at that point. And that's where things kind of fell apart and China really wasn't buying anything. They were the only source really for the buying them. There's like 4 different grades of plastics, and so finding a market for plastics is a real challenge because there's so many different types. And in the past, I know glass was one of the hardest things to get rid of.
China is consuming more and more themselves over there, and they have their own products to recycle without having to worry about shipping them across the ocean on a ship to be recycled over there. So at one point I heard there were ships sitting off the coast of China that could not get emptied out. So that makes me nervous, wondering what actually ended up happening to that garbage or that recycling.
It's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Or it might have made it to our coast.
I know we don't want to belabor this, I've been through stuff like this, but we're paying for this. The taxpayers, the property taxpayers in this county are paying for this service, right? It all comes, whatever you pay Waste Management, we actually pay that.
Well, that depends on how you look at it. We do have the monies we take in from the tonnage fees at the landfill. And I think when it first started, we had said that those tonnage fees were gonna pay for the recycling. Now, the way the budget looks now, I mean, it kind of gets mixed in, so possibly some of that, but we do have separate fees that can cover it.
Okay, are you gonna reduce the property taxes, the amount that we're gonna have to pay now to have somebody come and do it privately?
Well, in a sense, because it's gonna cost, $50,000 a year less, or not quite that, maybe 40-some thousand a year less.
Mhm.
So that money will go somewhere else.
Can't give it back to the taxpayers?
Sure.
Well, it's,
Not in a rebate, but in less taxes.
Right.
we certainly won't have to increase them. I can't say that it's gonna go back to you, but, it'll help to where we can keep the levies as low as possible.
the other interesting fact that I thought was kind of compelling in all of this is that Waste Management, it was supposed to be servicing 1,000 people, 1,000 rural customers. But not every rural customer was using it either. They had the ability and they could use it, so that's why we were paying for 1,000 customers. But they really couldn't prove to us how many actual customers were using it. And it was probably somewhere around 800 is what I...
4 years ago when we negotiated a contract with them, and we've had contracts, for 8 years now, or is it 12? 8 years, I think.
Probably longer than that.
Anyway, 4 years ago when we were discussing, they were actually giving us the data, how much tonnage, how many people got picked up. We've had no reports in the last few years, and their contract says they're supposed to do that. So they're kind of in breach of contract for not reporting that, even though we asked for it.
Well, I'm gonna let it go there, but on the other hand, I would like to have you consider that the people that I've talked to anyway would be willing to help pay you to do that instead of us all having to go out and find someone privately to take care of that, because it is a problem. I don't wanna put the tin cans and all that plastic in a hole out there on my place. It just, when I moved there, when I bought that place in 1977, there was oodles of tin cans, partial tin cans, laying in the grove, and don't want to have that again. So we need to be able to take it somewhere.
So one other thing we had discussed in this process was the original bid from the guy from Buffalo Center was to have 4 drop spots. And that would have been a little more convenient for some, but the cost would have been twice as much. And so because of the things not actually getting recycled, we said for now, we'll just start with the 1 spot, but we may be expanding 2 more spots.
And if the market turns around, it's possible. I mean, the guy from Buffalo doesn't have the resources to have, get the truck and all the dumpsters and stuff like that to replace. But, I mean, in the future, there may be somebody that wants to do that, or waste management. If the market comes back for it, we can always go back to where we were.
Who does that in Buffalo Center? Dacus or
No, it's Scott Levine.
Scott Levine?
He-
Lake Mills, is that Peterson?
Have you ever
That's
been
garbage.
That's garbage.
have you ever been to BC Repair in Buffalo Center?
Yes.
That's Larry Gray's son-in-law.
Oh.
He works in there too also.
So is there anybody that does that in Lake Mills?
Now,
Recycling,
recycling or garbage pickup?
Recycling?
just waste management.
Waste management.
But the guy in Buffalo Center does recycling.
He's been picking up Buffalo's recycling for several years.
Thank you.
And currently, Forest City really doesn't have a recycling contract, I don't think. They're recycling, but it's pretty much going to the landfill. So
What's that gentleman's name that was here last, from Forest City?
they're,
In your favor?
Yeah, Mr. Faber was here and theirs is, Forest Cities is not being recycled either. People are still sorting it. So it looks like it's recycling and it looks like it's waste.
well, I
but
think
it's-
their paper is being recycled.
They take waste management, I'm sorry, whoever it is, Forest City, takes the paper to the recycling center and gets it recycled. The rest of the stuff that's put in the yellow containers, bottles, glass, plastic, everything else like that, is all put in the trash can, or in the trash truck, and they take it straight out to the landfill. Because it was too cost prohibitive for even the city of Forest City to have waste management take care of the recycling going from driveway to driveway. It was not feasible to do that. So as a result, the city had to take it over, use their own trash trucks, and take it where they had to take it. Because Waste Management was saying, well, we're gonna charge this, and it kept on going up. It never stopped going down. So that put a burden, and the late Barney Reuter realized this, and he said, okay, we need to do something. And so when I interviewed him, he said point blank, we're gonna have the city take over this whole process. It's not something we haven't done before in the past, it just means we have to take one extra route going out to Mason City. And that thing is also being reflective, if you look at what's going on in Winnebago County, it's being reflective of what's going on throughout the county. Because we were having issues with Waste Management just saying, nope, can't go there. And that was it. So there are those problems. So I understand why they did what they did, or are going to do what they're doing. But even Forest City is now considering the idea. It is being bandied around in council about what this esteemed group has done so far, and that is maybe we should just have a central drop-off site. Other locations in the area, in the immediate area, have done drop-off sites. And my late wife's house, where she lived in Thor, it became sort of a social event. Everybody would go out, dump it. Out would come the truck, pull up, dump off the first dumpster, and you'd fill up the second one, and they'd take that second one off, and then everybody, out with their cans of Coke and coffee and everything else. Hi, how you doing? Out by the most stinkiest place you'd ever find. But it worked.
So like in Forest City, how many residences are there in Forest City? Just,
I defer to the expert.
Gotta be about 1,000.
Yeah, I would.
1,000?
There's like
So
4,000
you
people.
know, if there's 1,000 here, and there's 800 that are being picked, or were being potentially picked up, it just kind of shows you that it's it's not working. Forest City can't find a place for it either.
So the other source of getting rid of the recycling right now is in Ames and Mankato to incinerate it. They use it for power. That's the only other source for
Which
recycling.
I've said they should have done that years ago, put a power plant out there, use the natural gas from the pile itself and then whatever gas they need to help keep it burning and have a power generating plant out there, and then that pile wouldn't get near as big, near as fast as it has. And it would be nice if something like that was there, but, I also
So was
know,
this the last time then in, February, or will there be a pickup yet in March, or,
It's through May 31st.
okay,
and there's a guy in Buffalo Center, works in Buffalo Center, he used to work for the city of Sioux City. And we got talking about this, and he said that's exactly where Sioux City's recycling was going to, was to the landfill. So, and that's great money for the people that are charging you for recycling and dumping it in the landfill for much less.
So for people who do still want their recycling / garbage picked up, the best thing would be to do, at least this is what I'm thinking about doing, is contacting your local trash people, whether it's Peterson Sanitation or Waste Management or Thompson Sanitation, and see what it would cost to have it picked up at the end of your lane.
We can give you the name of the person that we deal with at Waste Management for the recycling, and you could have that conversation with him.
There's
you
also,
realize though that's just an extra cost for the rural people. We're gonna pay more, we're gonna pay the taxes, and then on top of that, we're gonna have to pay to get
We could,
you don't
the
have
stuff
to,
picked up.
that you're gonna choose to. You don't have to. You make a trip, you're not gonna drag that great big, Waste Management's probably gonna come around and get those
I wouldn't doubt
dumpsters.
it.
And, you're not gonna drag that big old dumpster to Thompson every day. You're gonna put it in little garbage bags and take it and throw the garbage bags. There's gonna be a trailer sitting there that's gonna have a hole for plastic and metal and those, and then there's gonna be one for the paper products.
Where's it gonna be located?
We're working on that,
Oh,
We're looking at behind the old ambulance shed maybe.
but we have to negotiate that.
Yeah, can't say we're gonna have that because we haven't actually gotten that far yet, so,
How often will it be picked up
as needed.
from Thompson? So if we come in and it's overflowing, and now we're just dumping it on the
Well,
ground?
No, that's
we're
his
also,
responsibility, so.
we're also, yeah, he's
his
supposed to,
contract would be either terminated or if he doesn't.
well, and we've left it in the contract until we know how often it's gonna have to be picked up. It's gonna be a little bit open as far as, I mean, cause if he's having to empty it twice a week instead of once a week, we're gonna have to, adjust the contract for him. And if it's only getting emptied out once a month, it's only getting filled up, then we'd have to adjust it the other way too, so. But,
He's willing
We're-
to prove his tonnage, he's willing to prove it and show us his
he's
record.
also said that he would put up a camera and if we can get, because you don't want people putting garbage in there. Buffalo Center used to have a garbage dumpster sitting out for everybody to use if you missed the garbage truck. But then there was people putting all kinds of interesting things in there. One time I went there and there was a couch sitting on top of it. But, he's gonna put a camera on it, and if he can get hooked to the internet, he'll be able to look on his phone and see whether the thing's full or not. I mean, that's been talked about also, so, and then we can also see who's doing things they shouldn't be doing there. Yes,
So do I understand that right now, where, the way it stands, it looks like the best way to go is for Winnebago County residents to take their recycling to Thompson. But really, the only thing we need to bring is our board box, paper, and cardboard, because there's no point in bringing our plastic, tin, and glass.
As a rural resident, I live out in the country. I'm gonna take my plastics and my glass there. The tin, I'm gonna take, I usually do scrap iron, so I throw my tin and aluminum in with that and recycle it and get money for it. But the plastic and glass is what I wanna get rid of.
But for us to sort it, clean it, and take it to Thompson is the same difference as if we put it in our garbage at home and at the end of our driveway for the garbage.
So you have
pickup.
garbage pickup? Yeah, then it's a lot easier to do that.
And the garbage charges less.
Well, I know I pay garbage for some property I have in Thompson, and the same size dumpster that you have for recycling, 96 gallon, in Thompson costs me $12 a month for garbage. My recycling is only 64 gallons, and it is $8 now with their new rate. So it's $8 a month for a 64 gallon in Thompson. So it just kind of gives you an idea of what I'm paying there for each. It's probably just a little bit more, just a little more for the garbage, but about the same. I know their rates just went up with waste management too, so. But there, the city just bills you whether you use it or not. It's just automatic.
Yes,
To change the subject a little bit, on waste management, is there some way you could restrict the trucks coming from Minnesota to the landfill? Or charging more? There
I,
gets to be so many, you go to Lake Mills and you'll see 2 or 3 go by.
and then there's, I don't know what we could do to adjust that.
Well,
Just-
I have seen information that shows why they're coming down here, and that's because the landfills up there charge anywhere from 4 to 5 times as much.
I think there was one in Blaine that closed.
Yeah.
So they
But
started
couldn't
shipping
you-
down here.
Put for out of state, garbage, more, sales tax or, more fees?
Unfortunately, we just renegotiated a contract a couple of years ago for
Oh.
those tonnage fees. They actually were, that's the other thing, we have a bad taste in our mouth. We had a 20-year contract previously, and then when that ended, they wouldn't even talk to us, and they didn't pay. And so it took a year and a half or so, and we finally got them to come to the table. We put pressure on them. They came to the table and renegotiated at the same rate for the tonnage, but we've almost doubled our tonnage now. So we used to take in $64,000 a year in tonnage fees. Now we're taking in over $120,000. So we're getting money from them
Yeah.
for that. It'd be nice to differentiate out of state, but at this point, we have another 18 years left on our contract.
And like in Des Moines, they couldn't do something there that would, eliminate the contract.
It's possible.
And the windmill blades, they come in there from Minnesota, they won't.
Yeah. And they've kind of changed that now.
Oh, they did?
They're taking them down somewhere else to recycle.
Oh,
Missouri or something, right?
Yeah, Missouri.
I think it's Missouri.
I don't have a
All
trace
kinds
on
of
where,
silliness
what
going on
happens
in this
from
world.
there, but they say they're recycling it.
It is a concern.
Either that or the people down there aren't saying, show me. They're just sneaking it in there.
Well, they were talking about the landfill was gonna be the tallest spot in Iowa. How close is it?
Well, didn't it overtake Pilot Knob as number 2, or it's getting close?
Well,
I think they're limited how far they can go, but they have a lot
They
of
expanded
acres. They have a
now.
lot of acres to
Yeah.
use. They own the farm to the west of them, they own land to the south of them, they own them across the road, they have a lot of land there, so many, many years to come before they fill up. I just hope they do it responsibly.
Yeah,
Yes, amen.
and now that we know that why we're getting everybody's garbage because it's so cheap, that's kind of alarming also. It's all right,
Thank you.
Thanks for your input. Might go back to.
Take care.
yeah, it's good seeing you again.
Yep.
It's my old wrestling coach from Waldorf.
Oh,
Yeah,
I always put him against the smallest guy.
Those aren't me.
Yeah, you yelled at me once because I wouldn't shoot underneath Booby Clark, the 330-pound heavyweight. And so finally I shot underneath there, then he did a pancake on my, yanked my right shoulder out of joint. It went back in, but it's been sore ever since.
I just go to 2 then.
Yep, Scott Minder's engineer with secondary road matters.
So this morning it's a little bit colder, but the temperatures this week are mostly above freezing, and we have snow in the forecast, and we've had rain and fog and heavy air, and so we've gotten some gravel road complaints. Most of them, I'd say, are associated with some untimely hauling, whether it's feed trucks or wind farm traffic or animals getting moved out or in, all that kind of stuff. So we're doing our best to try and track down those trucks and time their hauling best with the freeze and thaw or rerouting our trucks to the better route. So far, I think we're doing a pretty good job of that. We're just getting to some of these locations too late, right? The damage has already been done in some cases. So I think the message is that if anybody sees, damage happening, it needs to be called in right away so we can address it. This time of year, there's not a lot we can do to really fix a road, but we're not even halfway through the freeze, the thawing period here. So the top layer of the road is often soft, and then it's got a very thick layer of ice underneath it, and nowhere for the moisture to go. With that said, I think the majority of the roads look okay.
Right up until the snow.
It's been happening for decades and decades this time of year. Every year it's happened.
Yeah, but the vehicles in the, are
They've
just
gotten
getting
bigger.
huge. They're big.
Mm-hmm.
When they're hauling outfits are just.
Yeah, no, there's
Right.
Check
Yeah.
360 if we got a soft shoulder coming up with 69 overall on the south side. It is just right, like you would right up there on the intersection where the house is.
Sure. Probably should stay in the middle of the road this time of year.
And that's what we try to do, but some guys he's taking a truck almost, I would say every 3 hours.
So Scott, you're encouraging people to let you know?
Yeah, faster we know, the faster we can either limit traffic by just talking with the haulers or make repairs if conditions are appropriate. Every county's going to be dealing with this all at the same time. It won't be just us.
Anything else for secondary roads?
I'm going to make some copies of what I sent you, and we can revisit that, I guess, after you go through the rest.
I've got one printed, so.
You got one? Okay. Did you have much for budgets today, or?
Probably.
Yeah, okay. I'll make copies for you, and I'll come back to that.
All right.
Thank you.
Auditor's office will discuss drainage matters. We're ready for you. Thank you.
Julie, I was waiting for you to say that how old's your mom today, her birthday?
87.
87. Happy birthday to Pam today. Dragging those recycling containers to the end of the lane when you're 87 years old
Yeah,
and bringing them back up.
and she really never minded it as long as it was.
Picked up.
Mother-in-law's
Morning,
got
Christy.
a short driveway in Rake, and she doesn't even like doing it. She gets Rebecca to do it now. My daughter lives up there with her. Yes,
Got the reports back from Jacobson Westergaard regarding those reclassifications for secondary road parcels. So we're going to try to have a teleconference with Hancock County and Cassuth County, get that all done in April, and then have a public hearing for all those districts in May. So
How did it look?
it looks a lot better for secondary roads. Yeah. Some of them were
Really wrong?
really wrong. Yep. So I'm glad that Scott did that. Yep.
okay, anything else for drainage?
Did you guys get those, drone photos?
I didn't look at them yet, but I got them.
Okay.
I couldn't make it work,
Oh, you couldn't?
no.
I couldn't.
You couldn't make it work?
No,
Oh, and I
did-
didn't
have
try
one of them
yet.
had a still
Alright.
picture on it.
You know what, I'll
That's
have
about
to read.
Mine, nothing came up.
Okay, well, we'll do it again, because it really is interesting and fun to watch, and just how much detail you can actually get. I mean, it
Mhm.
might be something we care to use sometimes, especially when it's really,
it. No, we've discussed it in the past.
you didn't want to drive a drone.
I know. I would like to have a drone. Hmm. I think that would be great. That would help a lot.
Okay, I just wanted to, I'll try to resend them.
Okay.
Okay,
That to the four-wheeler, the snowmobile and everything else.
No, I don't want a snowmobile,
Okay, all right,
but the four-wheeler and the drone would be great.
okay, all right. Somewhere in the budget, we're saving money on recycling, we probably can figure it
yeah,
out.
there you go, yeah, we use the money for that, right?
I've had
Yeah.
people wonder what we're gonna do with that excess funds when we don't have that expense.
Unfortunately, we've got holes all over for it. All right, anything else for drainage matters? Hearing none, we'll go back to open forum. Was there anything that you had that we needed to address?
Let's see.
Donna, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
On the auditors' fees for like the ATV, snowmobile and all of those, is it just mostly transfer fees that are changing? The amount still stays the same? as far as-
Yes, yeah, it's the transfer fees.
Thank you.
Well, I guess we'll move on to discuss budgets.
Do you want to do number 6 first? That'll be,
Oh, all right. You guys get a chance to look at the claims?
I did.
I did.
I didn't have any question.
I didn't either.
I'll make a motion to approve the semi-monthly county claims.
I'll second.
Motion Derby and second from Smith to approve the semi-monthly county claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, now are we ready for number 5? Discuss budgets.
Do you guys have your budget books? Are they in my office?
Right here.
Oh, okay.
See which one's which.
Is yours?
That looks like my handwriting. Unfortunately.
This must be yours.
Thank you.
So these two that are 22 and 23, that's what?
Those are the levy rates for 22 and 23. And then page 4 of the 24 is the levy rates for 24 that we have so far.
Well, thanks for staying through drainage.
Oh, I wouldn't use that for the, world.
Yeah, I didn't figure you would.
You say tea in China.
Well, that's getting expensive to import over here, so
Yeah,
I'll just stay with the world.
not exactly sure I want to drink tea from China anymore.
No.
Have
Have
a
a
good
nice
one.
day, yeah.
I thought I fixed that, but
Carmen, did we ever hear what our percentage of, insurance was gonna go to this year?
not yet.
Not yet?
They said it probably wouldn't be till April.
Okay.
For figuring your budget.
I know, children, eventually,
On page 1 of 18, bottom left, it says TIF tax revenue. Is that the total revenue from the taxes on the turbines, or is that just the part that we've extracted from the other taxing entities?
That's just for the UR2 and the UR2A.
Okay,
So that's just the part that goes into the TIF.
so that number is actually lower than what we would be paying on interest and
Principal this year?
principal.
Yes.
It's not going up dramatically.
No. Well, and it was at 210,000, and then after that, the valuation drop, that's what it went to. Or it was at, sorry, 2,100,000, and then after the valuation drop, it dropped to 1,950,000.
Now, was that a rollback?
After the valuation switch, because of the rollbacks, because of the legislation, where I had to redo the valuations.
So, okay, explain to me, I thought it was just mostly on the multi-res that they screwed up on. Why is that involved with multi-res?
That's a very good question.
It shouldn't have anything to do with multi-res. The only thing that affects that is how we can tax them and they screwed us over, but it should be a set fee. It shouldn't have rolled back at all, really. You know, okay, so they're talking about doing next year a rollback for commercial, right, and industrial. That shouldn't be in here yet, right?
No,
And so I'm not sure why this number would go down.
because if valuations drop, there's less money that goes to the TIF.
What valuations are you talking about? Why did their valuations go down? They should have been going up.
Well, if all the valuations in that township all go down, there's still less money that would go to the TIF.
Saying they're down since, like, prior years, or down since the refiguring of this year's valuation?
So I'm trying to understand.
They're down since this year, the figuring of the second time.
When it was refiled?
Yep.
Went down.
Yes.
I thought it was just gonna be that mistake they made that would have been reflective on our budgets. But they rolled back other things too.
Well, they made us redo all of our TIFs, and this is the way it calculated.
Are we missing parcels?
No,
I worry about that program. I just don't trust it. I just don't understand why it would go down.
Scott, what do you have for your new amount to transfer from rural basic and general basic?
I don't have the numbers with me, but
Okay,
the rates, so I just adjusted the rates. I didn't adjust the rates, sorry. Adjusted the formula, so the same rate applied to the new amount.
okay.
And I think, change to my budget was like a couple thousand or less,
Okay.
not huge. And we're,
No, I'll find it in here. I just,
mostly the urban values changed. There's not a lot of multi-res in the country. Might not be any.
Is, page 10, solid waste disposal, is that the recycling number or,
That $100,000?
it's under line 60, 20, on page 10. I'm talking about in these sheets.
Oh, on those, yeah. There was one that was $100,000 that I checked and one did too.
yep, that has the old number in it.
That's, so we can lower that number?
Yep.
Are we gonna have to put in a number higher than what we figured his contract's gonna be for mailings, or I suppose we'll have some in this year's budget available. departments were gonna be over this year's budget because of their increased costs, right?
Yeah, they went up 3% for now.
There probably won't be this year, but. So we'd be putting 30,000 in there just so we have some cushion for any overages and.
So do you want to just leave the number the way it is?
What exactly is health administration?
Where you at?
Page 8, towards the top.
Is that public health?
Yep.
It is, it's more than doubled in the last couple of years. Hasn't gone up that much, has it?
About 120%.
Yeah.
Or did we put ARPA monies into that for the project and we haven't used them yet?
Oh, that could,
Yeah, you have 800,000 in for,
that would account for,
Yeah.
That would
So
do
it's,
it.
all
so
right.
it won't be utilized in 2020, well, not, probably not in 2023 budget. At some point it'll get used. That's the other 800,000. It's still going up pretty good price.
Yeah, it's still, even with that, it's got a pretty good increase.
it's a question for Julie Sorensen.
So is there ARPA money that can be used in other places too, or is that all been allocated out?
We don't even know where we're gonna be on the public health building yet.
Mm-hmm.
It is a kind of protecting it, just in case. That other request too.
And then we used a large chunk of it.
Yeah.
Who knows about that? You know, I think that's why we need to seriously think about having department head meetings once a month, so everybody's on the same page and we know what's available. You know, because like I had mentioned, in our office, those windows need to be looked at, especially through the winter, you know, we're cleaning up water and ice and they're freezing in the driver's license area. You know, maybe that would be a good thing to look at. And I know I didn't budget for it, but if that comes out of maintenance or where this, our,
Coming out of maintenance.
you know,
Yeah, I've seen those windows when you had to have
yeah, I'm thinking,
towels or whatever laying in
Well,
the
and we got-
windowsill.
all our computers, testing computers are there and
Is it the frames that are sweating so bad?
there's no insulation.
It's that
I
metal.
just wonder if a person could drill a hole and spray foam into those frames.
Well, I wondered, you know, I've asked that, but I don't know who can give you the right answer.
Is it
I
how?
wonder if Kevin could line up somebody to come and just look at it and give us ideas of what could be done.
Yeah, something, and I don't know what upstairs or downstairs, if they have the same issue, same windows.
Same windows.
Well, I think every window in the courthouse has that problem.
They, I mean, these are at least insulated, but, metal frame windows should never have been a thing in this part of the country.
I brought in blankets and I took plastic and went around the window by drivers and was that a floor heater?
We've got the windows in my kitchen, when it gets below 0, it'll start to get ice on the inside of it.
Yeah, and that's understandable, but I mean, this is all winter we fight with this.
So then I put a little fan on top of the counter and blow it at the one window, the one that's all.
Right. You know, things like that, I think that's where department head meetings once a month would be nice, so we can communicate and know that these things are available and what our concerns are.
We've got to see what we've got 400 and some thousand tied up in the, nature center.
More than that, with the guarantee.
Yeah,
We got
yeah,
500 plus the 400 and some thousand.
yeah.
But maybe a lot of this should have been discussed and laid on the table, so we all knew kind of where.
But in theory, that's gonna come back with fundraising.
Hmm?
The,
Nature center
the
money.
nature
that
center,
was supposed to
they're gonna
come
try
back.
and recoup
Sure.
that and pay it back with fundraising.
Mhm.
I think you're right, though. I think a wish list of different department heads and stuff would be a good thing, because you can at least look at them and prioritize. Try to.
Try to, I know there's a lot of things and everybody wants, but I think there's some things that are more in need. But if we don't have the meetings and we don't have communication, we don't know if this stuff is available.
If we could just get people to quit breaking laws, we could save $4.3 million a year
We can-
between the jail and legal services
Jail and
and
legal
yeah,
services.
total public safety and legal services.
Mm,
So it's a lot of money,
That probably won't happen.
you don't think? Yeah, it's been steadily getting worse.
It's sort of like saying, don't let anybody drive on the roads, right, Steph?
And
Stay pretty good shape down.
Mother Nature, frost boils, will still get some of it.
Well, that's a request I get pretty often is, why do you let these people drive on these roads? Control them about as well as I can control my kids, you know?
I did have to take the
Blame
other,
your kids.
the other
Nobody
side
have
of the
more
road.
control of your kids.
I did have to take the other side of the road this morning.
But you kind of know that in, like in the wintertime, we kind of know where our bad spots are and you just
You would
kind of
think,
slow
yeah.
down.
Oh, I
go
meant
around.
somebody
Oh,
driving on the hard surface roads just came off of a gravel road and it was, honestly, if somebody hit that going 60.
Yeah, frozen chunks of mud don't give very much.
So one of the reasons the health administration went up is they're adding another person downstairs in, what's with Melby? CSS, or not CSS,
Air connections?
yes, them.
He's not a physician, he's just one of the
It's a coordinator position.
Coordinator, all right. Same since the beginning, that there should be one, at least in Winnebago County. So they don't have to drive all the way from either Emmitsburg or, they've been spending a lot of time on the road. So we need to have one on the left east side. Which is not, I'm disagreeing with that, just like we didn't have one.
I just added that yesterday, so
What was that?
that coordinator position,
They decided that yesterday?
yes, they just told me to add that yesterday.
Oh, yeah. They made a decision at the last meeting, I think. Which unfortunately I couldn't be there.
I don't think I have my book for this year. This is my last year's one.
I think it's in my office,
Okay,
because there's a bunch of,
yeah, it might be. Is yours the most current one?
Yeah, I have writing in it from this year.
I think, no.
Oh, this
Oh,
one-
that is your current one, yeah.
Yeah.
This must not be the current one either. Or it should be
24.
23, 24 in there, right?
Mhm.
Mine only goes up to 22, 23.
Yeah, I think it's in my office.
Oh, it's 23, 24 here.
That's the new one I printed out today.
So the 55,000 for solid waste disposal under the county environment and education,
Mm-hmm.
that's the 55 that we were paying waste management.
Yep.
Yeah, this is last year's I got here.
So I don't know which one's yours here. There's two of them here. Or you make your notes. Yours. Mine was easy. It's really scribbly and it has my name on it.
Is that your handwriting?
Why would the real estate and buildings under roads and transportation go up almost $800,000.
Because of the building down here.
Is that what, they put it in the budget? That 759,000 or
I think
something?
that's what it was.
I would assume it's for their shop
Okay.
remodel or whatever.
And why would just roads go up almost 700,000?
Well, that's
He's shifting from bridges to roads, a bunch of money. We've been replacing more bridges, and now he thinks we need to shift money to repaving roads.
yeah, he went from.
So that would explain the almost $700,000 difference?
Because bridges and culverts last year was 205,600. This year it's gonna be 91,000, so that's only a difference of 100.
Yeah,
Yeah.
200 or 100. I wish that would have stayed.
But he's,
We'll ask.
I know he's adding a lot more than just that to the paving project, so if I remember right. So he must be shifting, well, he's using some out of his fund balance, if I remember right.
Well, and there's some farm market.
Yeah. Which,
On this set of sheets here on the front page, does it show where some of his federal or state monies are coming from for roads? Is there a section there in the
If you
revenue?
go in your book and actually go to, there should be a blue sheet and then there's revenue sheets. It should be kind of further back.
Oh, no.
Around page 18 is his revenue. It should be in there. Actually, page 20, there's road use tax, the farm to market, time 21 funds. That's his revenue. Did you find it?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
seeing differential from one year to the next.
ordered time 21 funds.
That's your federal monies. They keep changing the terms as Congress changes the
Oh, is there?
allocations. That's what the current one is.
See, I don't recognize
It
that.
was T-Lou, it was, there was all kinds of different,
Oh, is there?
yeah, they changed.
So that's, he's trying to keep us confused.
No, that's Congress.
I think we figured it out, Scott, but I had a question about the $692,000 that the roads went up.
Can you give me the account number?
7110.
Yep. And the next three,
Under roadway maintenance program.
oh, that's the category total.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the category where the microsurfacing will be paid out of.
Oh. Okay.
And they have a 1.15 million for that project, so.
Yep, so that's where that is.
Mhm.
And that- okay. And
So
then
that's the number that's up this year, but will likely go back, down next year, because we won't have that big project.
and then we think we figured it out too, the real estate and buildings,
Mm-hmm.
the extra 759,000. That's this building project thing that may or may not be on.
Yep. Yep. 800,000 for the shop project, yep. Carla, the refiling of the valuations, because there's two refilings. What was the reason for the first and then the reason for the second?
The reason for the first was, there was parcels that were missing from the TIFs that I had to add back in. The second one was the state made me.
And what was changing or,
It was that legislation. I had to redo the rollbacks.
or missing parcels in the TIF, so parcels that had to be added back into the TIF to pay to TIF instead of to general taxes.
So when the assessor did her year-end rollover, for some reason, it wiped out the TIFs, the parcels in the TIFs, so I had to go and add them all back in. Crazy glitch in the system is what they told me.
Okay. So when I was looking at what our difference was, the first refiling, the rural valuation stayed the same, only the urban changed. And then the second time around, both of them went down.
Was there a different rollback on ag then?
No, I don't. So maybe I need to ask somebody what's,
I think there's something screwy there. I don't see why the TIF would have gone.
well,
down.
it is because it's that on the, there's this new tier 1 thing on everything where they pay back $150,000 of the first. I think the only way to explain it is to show it to you. I don't know how to. So here is the rollback factors. So I suppose in ag, there's ag dwelling, which would also make it go down in ag. So all these were 56 point something. So everywhere where there's 54 point this, it was 56 point something.
So that number reflects the valuation or the rollback?
the rollback.
So you're reducing it by 54.
So rolling it back 54.6501%.
Okay.
So it would have gone down some in ag also because of the ag dwellings.
So where in those categories are the turbines?
Industrial,
But not
which
all,
they also have.
not all of them are in the 90%. Is that part of the problem?
I don't know.
See, the ones out here that we rejected are in the 90%. The ones that we allowed them to start over from square one, they're not in the rollback anymore. The new ones are not in the rollback because they weren't grandfathered in. So I think we need to look at that and see, are we actually rolling back the right ones? And
So I don't know how you would ever, how would you split that out? Unless there's some way that Sue's splitting it out.
I think we need to discuss that with Shane. Should we get her up here?
Yeah,
I think it'd be good to have that discussion with her.
but they also have this tier one where everything is the first $150,000 worth of value is being,
Forgiven?
no, is being taxed at this 54.6501%.
And industrial.
Yes, in everything,
Instead of what?
instead of 90%.
Under industrial.
So that's why everything went down.
Yeah, that's a big cut.
Yeah, but they're already, should they be included in that though?
That's what the legislature has told us we had to do. They just did that this last year. This is the first year for it.
See if Sue's here.
Look it up. It's way at the top.
It's also in commercial.
Hi Judy, is Sue around? Yeah, I'm looking for somebody with a magic wand. Okay, no. Hey, we got questions on the new rollbacks and things like that, and separating our turbines and stuff. Do you wanna stop up and talk to us? Okay. All right, thank you.
Law passed this year, the tier one thing,
This thing?
whatever the tier one, yeah,
This.
that thing.
Yeah. Well, it passed last year for this year.
No, I don't remember hearing about that. It's kind of a big deal.
So that's the other thing. So if you're talking the first 150,000, are we talking about on a wind turbine farm or on a wind turbine?
I think each one stacks individually, I think.
Hey,
Hi.
I have questions.
Okay.
so it seems like our turbines went down quite a bit as far as revenues from the TIF and that. The new rollback, the first 150,000 has to be at the 54.65 rollback.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, on that, does that affect the turbines or are they in a special category? Because they're only accidentally, in quotations, included in the rollback to start with, and then that was changed by, they were left grandfathered in, but we've got some, we.
That aren't.
We let them do the redo on the one and didn't on the other, so they should be different rollbacks.
Well, I don't understand where the tier one's coming in now. I mean,
Should they even qualify for tier one? I thought
well, I'm wondering if the tier one is based off the business property tax credit. Because, you know, they get that first 150 and then anything over that. And the tier numbers in real estate are entered, the business property tax credits are now entered as tier numbers.
But does that affect the turbines? Or are they excluded from that?
They'll get their business property tax credit on the first 150, but anything over, they don't get the credit value on it. So say if I even had like a $300,000 commercial building, I'd get that I'd get the business property tax credit, but I don't understand why it's 54.65.
That's the rollback.
Because that's the rollback on residential and rural res and dwellings.
Is that the only place that has the 54.65 rollback? Or,
No, all the residential and dwellings and,
but does commercial and industrial have that rollback yet?
no, they should just be at the 90, but they get the business property tax credit.
Some of them are at 90, but not all. Because our new farm in the Northwest isn't under the 90.
No,
And the one that redid here and kind of screwed us over for taxes isn't under the 90, right?
they are under the 90.
No, the one we rejected is under the 90.
Correct.
But a portion, that's gonna be the screwy thing, because do they still get 90% under their existing value after they revalued? How does that work?
No, I didn't give it to them. I didn't give them the 10 after they did that.
So none of the project, of the one that went back to zero, none of it's under the 90.
Mm-mm.
Right.
No, I didn't give them that.
And
I
she
thought
was
you weren't
asking
gonna
how
get
to-
both out of me.
So she was asking, how do we differentiate those?
Well, because I added a new class in real estate. And see, I'm not sure where this is even coming from. I guess I don't.
This is my Rolex.
So the class you added was what?
Okay, so where's the 54 coming at?
That's what the legislation just told me I had to change it to. These are the new rollbacks.
That's just residential and
But
going, anything
was it
that's
entered in everything or just
in residential,
in residential?
according to that.
It was entered in everything residential, and then they told us to put it in the tier one of industrial, commercial, and railroad.
Okay. So can you do on yours, of course, you're in a different mode than what I am. On your, can you do a parcel search?
Yeah, if I bring it back down here and figure out what I'm doing. Okay.
All right. Go in and do, try let's see, subclass, open that up, would you? And do the wind towers.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so then in okay, interstate, pull up one of those, please.
Which one?
One of the interstate.
And then go to values. Okay, there is a property class of IW, and those are the ones that,
Have no rollback.
yeah, have no rollback. And then can you drop that down as well? The one above it, please. No, you can't. Oh, because we're within the parcel. And then wind towers, okay, can we go back to the search, please? And then go down to like Crystal Lake. There. Okay, those are industrial. Can you go back to that other one that we were just at? Okay, so all the ones that are at the 90% are classified I for industrial. They're all within that. There's also, I had to set up a new one that's IW, and that is those that don't get the rollback. Okay, so if we go back to the search thing, you could clear that WT out.
Sue, what about those turbines that repowered? It's part of the value in I and part in IW?
That's what I'm pulling up right at the moment.
Far ahead of you.
Okay, so then get out of there, please.
Because the tower part would be different than what was done at the top, so.
Okay, now go to property class and IW. And see what we got. Okay, we got 103 records. And I think there was 88 wind turbines on the one that got
The first one.
redone, yes. And then the others would be interstate power, and none of those are getting the rollback. And the value of those is, oh, we gotta do it at the value tab.
Personal value search.
Mhm.
Oops, not that one. It's hard to do without a mouse.
I can't run one without a mouse, so you're doing a lot better than me. And now it should give us, the assessed on that is 12,415,364. And, okay, so see the tier one on there? That's due to the business property tax credit. But I don't know how they came up with the 5.4.
I don't know that it's supposed to be on the industrial.
That's the way they told me to do, that's in the instructions.
That's how they have it listed on Johnson County website as well. Same.
The industrial is
That
included in the 5.4.
That the residential rollback is applied to the first 150,000 of all the different properties.
Residential.
The residential,
I'm
yeah.
talking about industrial.
No,
It's the same percentage applied to all the other classes of property.
Really?
well, on the first 150.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
only applying that on the
Okay,
first
so the
150.
question is on, with the turbines, what do you consider, is it for each parcel, each group, each?
It depends on if they're divided by a road. They have to be contained within a quarter, a quarter section, whatever the case may be. Then that's one. They get one credit. But then there's a road, they get another credit.
So you kind of have a taxable parcel for a group of turbines usually.
So anything that's in, say, a section has 5 of them, right? They would have all the same business property tax credit or tier number because they're splitting that credit amongst the 5 parcels or whatever the case may be.
The 5 pieces of equipment or whatever.
Right, and then the ones in the section next to it, that there's 5, they are all the same business property tax credit tier number, but there again, they divvy it out to each statement, what the credit should be, instead of putting it all on one.
So, yeah, I'm still miffed on this. We went through this, 90 rollback years ago and fought to get it eliminated from any turbines that were new after a certain point. Now, all of a sudden, they dump this and include the turbines in on it, on the.
Well, this is the first year that they're going to the tier numbers. Before, Carla and I worked together that I exported them and uploaded them to the DOM, was it that I did? Yeah. And then we'd hear back that it was verified and all this kind of stuff, and then she was able to pull those into Tyler and the state. Because what that was is the changes between my year and Carla's year when she's getting running the new taxes. And so those that we just went in and temporary assigned a number for, then those were the ones that were uploaded. And then I'd sent it to the state, and then they'd assign a permanent one for it. And then she'd pull them into the system. So it was updating Tyler through that.
So it doesn't matter if they have the 90% rollback or they're at 100% previously. They all still get that tier 1.
But I think you're looking at it, Terry, that, excuse me, that they're being treated like the residential or the multi-res and stuff. They aren't. They're getting their 90%, but they're getting that, they're handling the rollback or the business property tax credit somehow by using the residential rollback. And so it's got to be something to be figuring in with that business property tax credit is all I can guess at this point.
But I'm still trying to figure out, there be a difference between our farm up in the northwest that has no rollback and our farm down here that has the 90% rollback?
She's got 2 different classes.
Okay.
Oh, you were out then.
Yeah, so there's a class called,
The original 90% is in the straight industrial.
It's just I.
And IW is the new class that I set up and put anything that does not get the rollback on. And we just looked it up, there's 108 parcels, is that correct?
Yeah.
This legislation says it repealed the business property tax credit, and in lieu of that, initiated this program so that all of the first 150,000 of all the values is limited by the rollback on residential property.
So now, because I'm just going to pick on the one up in the northwest, they didn't have any rollback before, now they do.
Just on the business that's how they're figuring the business property tax. So they won't get the 90. I did not see
They
that
won't
in
get
your
the
list,
90,
so.
but they're getting the 150,000 at the 50.
Yeah, that's their credit that they are allowed.
But, okay, so my point is, and this is more of a legislative point I'm pissed off about, is they're supposed to be in a special category because we gave them the reduced valuation at 30%. Why are they doing this?
Well, what?
Before they said it was a mistake to give them the rollback. It's just a thing that the Revenue and Finance accidentally did. So we got that changed, so the new ones didn't get it. Now they included it, even though they were given a 70% rollback in valuation.
Well, and they used to reimburse the county for the business property tax credit, and I don't know how that's gonna.
That's gone, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a cluster since day one, as far as I'm concerned, that, I mean, they implement all this stuff, and then, of course, the Tyler software has to try and do their thing to keep up and do it as laws are passed.
Okay, so now, is there a difference between the straight industrial and the IW as far as their rate of taxation?
One will be at 100%, one will be at 90.
It will be.
Yep, and
Plus-
everyone,
So the one at 90 is gonna be plus the 54 rollback
on the first 150. But what's 150 times, say, .026? $3,900?
Yep.
So $3,900 lost on that, on those 5 wind turbines. And that's, like I said, I think that's how they're handling the,
Yeah, and the wind turbines, that wouldn't add up to a great deal, considering they each generate about 25,000.
so I think it needs to be maybe looked at more like that way instead of, but I see what you're saying, but they aren't, it's only on that first $150,000.
double dipping.
Well, I get that, but,
Yeah, I think that the first 70% would have been good enough.
you'd think, well, we're just starting them all out at 30% to begin with.
Yeah,
Right.
Uh-huh, instead of a,
instead of that graduated.
can you, lost my train of thought.
Well, did you hear they're gonna make the credits exemptions now too?
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Good. They want us all to go broke. Oh, I know, I was gonna have to go out to the Iowa Department of Revenue. Do you have a printer in here that you're connected to?
Yep.
I am,
I am a local government. Where's this stupid thing that quit popping up?
okay, go to assessment, please. And then equalization and assessment limitations. Assessment limitations. And there's a, you can print out that. Boy, you're getting pretty techy in here, they even have your own printer.
I know, we're fancy. Yeah, we are. I don't know why the department of management just didn't fix their mistake when they first saw that this was a problem and started doing all this.
I know it. Well, the department, they saw it coming 10 years ago when they set this stuff up. I'm sure we can get you more if you guys want. But I think this is each classification of property here. And like on the industrial, it says the 546501 is what you have entered, correct?
Yep.
Each property unit that exceeds 0, okay, but then it goes on that it's 90% on everything over that.
On everything, so that takes away our grandfather, or does that put 90% rollback on the Northwest project?
No, because it's different classification. I mean, it's set up differently in our system.
But is our program automatically doing this rather than what it should be doing?
Well, do you have, that's what I was getting back to on that first thing that you said. I didn't see the it's industrial, but I didn't see the,
I don't have an IW in there, so I don't
That's
know.
probably the problem,
yeah.
because there should be two projects
It's
that
not
have
recognizing
the
that other
IW.
class or.
So
Mm-hmm.
we probably need to fix that first before we know. Can Tyler help you with that, or is there some place you can get that resource to figure that out, or?
Well, I suppose Tyler would have to make a special class just for us, I don't know.
Otherwise, it's too simple.
Yeah, but this is, I think this kind of clears it up in your head that,
I don't like it, but
wow, there's a lot of things I don't like. You want to see it?
I do. Oops,
Oops, I'm
oops,
sorry.
there, I dropped it. Thank you.
Mhm. But I don't know if it's wrong in the system, because,
in effect, it would do away with that having to be 100% of the 30%.
can you go back to one of the, yeah, one of those, please? Okay, the other ones are just industrial.
It's got the tier 1 and everything.
Yep, it's got the tier number. Okay, and then, so the original screen that you had up that showed the rollbacks,
Yeah.
can we look at that again? Can you add one from up here?
I suppose I can't because I'm closed out of, it's locked right now.
Oh, that is possibly one way to fix it,
Okay.
because they are classified differently. But right now, of course, we don't know.
So we could,
If you can,
so next year when we do this, we need to add, or do I need to undo my things and do it for this year?
I would think you'd want it done this year.
Okay.
But I'm shooting from the hip, Carla.
Okay.
So if we trying to think here. Search property class, will you?
I think I'm fucking crazy if I have to undo my values again. Oops. Okay, so then we have to add,
IW.
Does it apply to property that exceeds $150,000? No. The way I read this, it's
Okay, so,
54%
value
of the
search? Is that what
value
you
of
said?
that
no, I want you to go up here and do,
Yeah, but it says, but does not exceed.
Property class?
$150,000. It doesn't say the first. This is what.
But the rollback does not exceed on the 150.
here it is.
I know what it's supposed to say. It doesn't
Okay,
sound
so
like it's saying that here.
When I did this, my IW, it is classified as industrial, the wind tower with no rollback.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm questioning, if it's just still going underneath the industrial.
well, the fact that it has the,
See, I'm wondering if it isn't included in there.
I think it is because the fact that it has a, that it has the,
Sounds like they're trying to
Tier
give it all
1.
back to little people, not big people.
No, it just says, it's saying from 0 to 150.
I know what-
Right, so I do
know
think
what
that,
it's saying here, but
I think
the
it's
way I read
okay
that, it's
because
not
it has
what
the
it
tier
says.
1, but it doesn't have the rollback,
But-
right?
but on that thing, there should be the
But does not exceed-
IWs
it
that
says
don't get the rollback
54%
of 90,
to the
and there
value
should
of
be
each
some that are
property
getting
until
100, so I'm not really worried about the tier
$100,000.
number, I don't
Does
think.
not exceed $100,000.
I'm worried more so about whether they're all getting
Zero
the
to
10% or the 90, you know?
So,
So if it's worth $1 million, the other 850 gets taxed, so it always was.
Well, my concern is if it was up there where it was at 100%, they're going back to 90%. That's what I'm worried about.
where's the other one?
Okay, try and do a parcel value search of
Starwood, does the state really have authority to tell us what we,
IW and I.
or they just got us convinced that they do?
Okay, so there's 270 in both of them. Okay, now just do the
I
I.
had the same question when I was talking about getting put in the prison for CSS. They sure as hell didn't want to push that road. They found out, all of a sudden they found an avenue for us. The state went and
Okay,
talked
so
to the
the
residents.
interstate's in there.
Air Connections asked them to take us, because they didn't want to have to have face down.
I didn't hit the search button.
Oh,
IW has 103. There was 167, so they're separate.
mhm.
Is that what we want, or is that not what we want?
That's what I'm processing in my brain. I don't think it's processing very fast. I guess, in all honesty, I think it'd be best to have Tyler explain to you how it's handling those.
Okay.
Because it is set up as industrial, but it is also coded different as a property class as well. So,
Well, it's a good thing I have one more day to do my values before it's.
Oh, God.
let the good Lord shine down upon you. Well, I've got Vanguard down there converting some stuff for me. Is there anything else I can try and enlighten you on?
That handles a lot of it.
Okay, well, good luck.
All right,
Thanks.
thanks.
Mhm.
Thanks for your wand.
For my what?
Your wand.
Magic wand, yeah.
I didn't say broom, I said
Usually they say broom.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
We're asking the right person, apparently.
because she set up those categories, so,
No, I meant when she said Lord Jesus.
yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So can we even have this discussion before, so timelines, your evaluations have to be done tomorrow.
Yep.
How about our process then?
I'll put budgets on the agenda again next week.
It'd be better to have a better view of it if we have a more favorable outcome.
Yeah, I don't know if this will change anything or not. I don't know what it'll do.
Do you need any help from me on differentiating the different ones, or do you think you understand that part of it?
I'll call Sue up
Yeah,
if I have questions.
okay. So I don't think we can take a good look at this until we know for sure what the valuations are gonna be.
Well, and they're in the classes. They're in the computer. They're in the classes that they're supposed to be in.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the system's doing with the classes that they're supposed to be in.
Right.
And
Is next week gonna be soon enough to look at this, or do we wanna do it later this week, or?
well, I have school this week. I'm gonna be gone, so
Okay. That'll be next week then.
We have till April to, but I'd like to be done. I don't know. We can, I'll just put it on the agenda for again next week. I'd like you guys to go through the worksheets and make sure that everything looks the way you want it to look.
I wish it was all less.
What? Well, if you can find things to cut, that would be good.
Well, unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a lot of good avenues that way either.
Well, I think, like I said, if they're gonna start, telling us what we can and can't do with our budgets and lowering our levies, it's gonna, make us hard to function as a county.
Well, I'm guessing that there's some people down there that have that as a goal. I wonder if they really have the authority to do that.
Because of code section 25 says they can.
Yeah.
So they put the word notwithstanding in there.
Well, they're sure taking away a lot of home rule.
I made that point to our legislators at the forum in Thompson the other day. One, I think, was receiving it rather well, and the other one, I think, got crabby.
Well, it's probably because it doesn't see how it affects.
Well,
Budget.
what I hated was the comment from somebody, I don't know if it was on the radio or something, they said, well, they don't have to make cuts anywhere. Well, like heck, we don't.
Oh, yeah, what do they do?
We have to make choices.
Yeah, we got less money, so therefore, what do? Just, oh, do we have a printer? We just start printing it. That's right. That's when you're out of money, you just start printing it.
So what would you like us to do, Carly? You wanted to just go through this, see if there's any question marks?
I want you to go through these sheets.
Yeah.
And just make sure that everything looks the way you want it to. Before you leave, I need to print you the newest revenue side, and put those in your books too.
And you're saying that next week is soon enough for that then? For you?
Yeah, we have till April 30th.
I bet just do April 15th still.
Well, hopefully we'll have it done way before that, because we're gonna have to publish and do all that stuff, so it's gonna be done way before then, but.
We got an extra 30 days, so I figured we got till the end of the month or so. We gotta get advertised. We don't have to do another max levy, we just.
No, our max levy's done, and I'd like to be able to lower that a little bit if we can, but I don't know if we can.
I still question how they can do a rollback on the first 150,000 on a special class taxation. You know, they accidentally did the 90% rollback for some of it, and now they're doing another rollback. They're gonna tell us later, well, we accidentally included that and we shouldn't have. Well, there's a lot of lobby down there from those people, and
Well, I've heard Farm Bureau's behind a lot of the stuff that's going on this year too.
well, they don't realize what they created.
Well, at the Farm Bureau meeting in January, I explained to them how they better be careful what they wish for. Because if they get us down to where, say, Cerro Gordos has a courthouse or whatever, everything's rolling in all the counties around there, all this is, then all of a sudden to get whatever you want out here on your gravel road or whatever's got to go through the engineer from Cerro Gordo and all the rest of the supervisors down there that may want all the revenue to go to their county. So then you're gonna have a hard time representing yourself. And the further you get to control the money away from home, the less control you have over it. It works like that in almost everything.
Do you guys stamp the semi-monthly county claims?
We have not, that I've been around.
Did we get it figured out with that, ag thing over by Buffalo Center with Matt? Zoning and stuff?
He said he was gonna contact him. He said he missed it the first time or something.
What is that whistling that I hear all the time coming from somewhere?
Doors don't seal,
Pardon?
front door doesn't seal.
Oh, is that what it is?
One,
Okay.
It's got a little whistle hole going through it.
yeah. And if the pressure in the building, somebody opens another door or something.
And that's when you hear that?
Wow, I thought it was a siren going on.
Yeah,
That
must
front
be
door, that
something
front
there.
door, you know, when it snows or blows, the snow's inside the building, it really doesn't seal.
That one?
That one.
Oh,
Really?
That one,
because the wind's out of that one. Yeah.
This one's new though. It's very wonderful. This one, when it used to blow, this one used to bang open and shut.
Oh, there,
I'll make the motion to approve the semi-monthly county.
That's already
we
done.
already did that
We did
part.
that?
You
Yeah.
said
Before.
Did I do? Oh, we did do it. Sorry.
You should do it.
Double it down.
You seconded it.
I know.
You did.
I know. My head is swimming with your
Numbers.
numbers. I do. Not do that.
They've made this whole
the trick
process.
is making sure that all the numbers you put in come out on the back end correctly. Like,
Mhm.
that's what, like, you to an extra class and stuff. Everybody puts it in right, but sometimes you gotta do some hand math to make sure it comes through on the other end.
Well, but if I don't even know if a class exists, how am I supposed to
Right.
double check it?
I
I didn't even know that that class was there, so.
Yeah, that's not your,
don't know.
It's a lot of coordination.
hey, I did my part.
I'm sorry I had to step out. Did you have anything for me that you needed?
Do you have a magic wand?
No, I do not have one of those.
I didn't have anything for you.
Not till next week.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.